Another week, another opportunity to chat with MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy. Thank you as always for your time. We're gearing up for postseason basketball right around the corner. A couple of regular season games to go, but we're here almost to March Madness. We're at this inching toward conference tournament now.
Yeah, the light's at the end of the tunnel, Chris. Good to see you, and it'll be great when we get back to Municipal Auditorium and get back to where we stage these tournaments, and can't wait. It's been a crazy basketball season, both men's and women's, and I think we're in for a great, entertaining week of college basketball next week in Kansas City.
We talked about it last week quite a bit, just how important it is to be back at Municipal Auditorium and being able to, have the tournament there. Just again, I guess it's kind of reiterating that point. Does it kind of feel more real now that we're just that much closer to having that tournament taking place back at Municipal?
Yeah, we've been down there a couple of times, just on some site visits, and it feels a little different. It's something we've done a lot. This will be our 19th year there, but missing last year, a lot of things that we're feeling like we're kind of talking through and reevaluating again. So, the normal cast of support from the city that's down there, the experience that our student athletes will have staying downtown and being near the Power and Light District and everything that Kansas City has to offer. So it feels good, and I can't wait for next week.
Now, last week we also talked about a little bit about the protocols that are going to be in place. Not so much for fans per se. It's more to kind of keep things flowing, keep things moving between the teams, the student athletes, everything else, and kind of maybe limiting some possible issues that could arise because we still are dealing with COVID-19 and the pandemic some too.
Yeah, we still see people getting sick, people ending up in the hospital. It's not over yet, and that's the thing I think we're going to try to accomplish next week is a good balance between doing things that help protect our student athletes and coaches, but allowing our fans to really have kind of their own responsibility, accountability for their health. If they want to wear masks, great. If they don't, no problem. Sit where they want. They can spread out and be kind of in their own row, or they could be in the middle of a big group. It's up to fans. So we're gonna kind of take a common sense approach and do some things around the arena that help protect our student athletes and coaches and minimize risk. The worst thing that could happen is we crown a conference champion next week, and we didn't do what we needed to do to help protect them, and now they're sick and in quarantine and miss out on the NCAA tournament. We don't want that to happen. So we're gonna create about a 6-foot buffer around the court. We're gonna try to limit big, great gatherings of fans and family and concourses or in the halls of the arena. We're just going to try to do some things that help keep our student athletes and coaches safe. But for a fan that's coming to sit in the stands and watch some basketball, no, you don't need to worry about bringing your mask. You don't need to worry about those things. Take care of yourself. And the thing we're preaching to people, Chris, is whether it's fans or our officials or our people working at our score table, if you're not feeling well, please stay home. Watch the games on the MIAA network, but certainly don't come to the arena if you're running a fever or if you're having any symptoms of COVID. We want to make sure that people have a good time, but also a safe and healthy experience when they're with us next week.
Another part I remember, and I say remember like it's been 10 years, but when you have the MIAA tournament down in there in Kansas City, you have the alumni and you have all the events downtown where you see your Northwest fans gather, you see your Washburn fans, Emporia State, and so on and so forth. Is that something that you're looking forward to is just seeing how many of these fan bases travel, because for the most part, Kansas City's centrally located for most teams of the conference. Some have to drive a little bit further, but overall, it's pretty much centrally located too for fan bases to come in.
Yeah, I think, similar to what we see in the Big 12 tournament where, the state of Iowa seems to empty out and put on their yellow and come and follow the Cyclones, regardless how good a year they're having. We see the same thing in the MIAA, just at a little different scale. But we'll have a big contingency of fans from Hayes, Kansas, from Emporia. Washburn brings a good crowd from Topeka. Obviously, the folks in Green up in Maryville will come and cheer on their team, and there are others as well that I'm leaving out. But so far, the ticket sales on campuses seem to have been going really well. The municipal box office and Ticketmaster now are selling tickets to folks here in Kansas City. We've got about 2,000 students, Chris, that have signed up for our MIAA Youth Day programs on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we'll have a lot of school buses and a lot of kids watching some afternoon basketball and doing some things along the lines of health and healthy habits, eating habits, those types of programming that'll take place for these young people. But I think and then obviously the things you were talking about, Chris, the things that we see happen in the Power and Light District, a lot of them staged at Johnny's Tavern. That's the official hangout of the MIAA basketball tournament. I know alumni groups from Northwest and Hayes and Pittsburgh State like to hold events there at Johnny's, and it seems like in talking to them that we're back to normal, and they're getting events scheduled, and they'll be showing the games at Johnny's. The MIAA network will be on television sets in Johnny's for people that want to stay up on the action but get away from the arena for a while. So a lot of neat stuff that'll be in and around Municipal Auditorium and certainly in the Power and Light District. And we can't wait to welcome MIAA fans to help kick off MIAA Madness in Kansas City next week.
Before we move on to our next topic, I want to touch on something you mentioned about the youth involvement and everything that the MIAA is doing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at the tournament. What's the importance of you guys doing that and having those opportunities there? Yeah, you're watching basketball in the afternoon, but it's also maybe more outreach too at the same time.
Yeah, well, when I put myself back in grade school, and if I could, come home with good news that my class field trip is going to watch basketball, I would have been thrilled. So I know there are hundreds and hundreds of students around Kansas City that are having that experience, looking forward to coming on a field trip to watch some basketball. But Chris, it's important for us, just with our student athletes, for them to have folks that they get to play in front of. This is a big tournament. It's a big deal. We don't get really big crowds during the weekdays, and our student athletes, I think, are going to be very excited to look up and see hundreds of grade school kids that are there cheering and watching. And a big part of what we try to do in the MIAA is help our student athletes understand how big of role models they are in the small communities where we see a lot of MIAA schools. The student athletes that are on our campuses that do a lot of things in the community, that spend a lot of time in schools, they are role models. They are who these young people look up to and who these young people someday want to be. And it's great to have that on our campuses, and it's great to try to replicate that in some small way at the tournament when we have it in Kansas City.
MIAA tournament just about a week away. We get things kicked off down in Kansas City Municipal Auditorium. Can't wait for that. Just a couple regular season games left on the schedule for the teams across the MIAA. But I want to ask you about a lot of, I guess, changes going on in college athletics. And we've talked about a lot of them already throughout the last 8 months or so, whether it's NILs, whether it's, transfer portal, but schools moving to different divisions, Division II universities making the jump to Division I. What is your thoughts on just kind of everything that continues to transpire? Because there's never been, it feels like, a stop. It's kind of a continuous of everything seems to be calmed down, but then you'll have universities or schools make a jump and just kind of keep changing things. And the landscape is never the same for very long either.
Yeah. Well, the two schools that we've seen recently, make this announcement a couple of weeks ago, University of Southern Indiana. And I think the announcement this morning at Lindenwood University, a former member of the MIAA, that's announcing that they also are going to the Ohio Valley Conference. And, I certainly don't agree with either decision, but I wish both institutions good luck. I think they're going to need it, Chris. The thing that blows me away about these decisions is that I can't think of a worse time to be moving into Division I. There's so much uncertainty, not only with their structure and issues regarding championship access and how revenue is going to be shared, how they're going to govern, but also just questions that are, ancillary to Division I, but have a huge impact. Questions regarding legal issues, congressional issues, labor issues. It'd be crazy for a Division II school to all of a sudden move into a division that they now have to classify their male and female basketball players as employees. But that's a possibility based on some of the things that are being looked at and talked about. So I just question the timing, and I think that the justifications that we've heard in the past of we're going to make this move because it's going to help us market the school better. It's going to help us rebrand. We're going to get more alumni booster donations. We're going to increase enrollment because we might get into the March Madness, the tournament, and have a chance to be a Cinderella win. I think those justifications are outdated. And the thing I really worry about, the schools that have done this change recently, and it's probably going to be the case for these schools, making these announcements the last few weeks, they're going to have to do these moves on the back of huge increases in student fees. And I'm not sure that students are going to put up with that for a long time. I think there are a lot of students that are attending Division I schools right now, wondering why they are helping to fund a very expensive proposition for conducting intercollegiate athletics. There's a much cheaper, healthier, and I feel like balanced alternative in athletic spending, and that's what we see in Division II. And I applaud schools in my conference that could easily make this move. Lindenwood wasn't very competitive in the MIAA in a lot of sports, and here they're making a change in divisional affiliation. We've got schools in the MIAA that could do it, that are large enough, that have the facilities to do it, but they choose to be excellent. And that's what I love about being in the MIAA and around Division II athletics. A number of our schools realized that if they took their program to Division I, it would kill their competitiveness in women's athletics. And they want to win championships. They want to give their female student athletes and their male student athletes a chance to compete for national titles. And that's what we do in the MIAA. So I applaud our schools for standing for excellence, not mediocrity, and not chasing dreams that I think are outdated and very expensive in what the mission of a university should be.
Well, you took my second question right from me about, MIAA schools staying. So I'll go to my third one then now. What are the chances we see schools, lack for a better term, come down to Division II or for that matter, Division III or stuff like that? Will we see a lot of that in the future? Or like you said, there's a lot of them chasing the glory of March Madness and stuff like that. But is there a chance we see schools take, I don't want to say step back, but in terms of division, it's going Division II, Division III possibly too?
I think the probably the most educated answer anyone could give on that question, Chris, is maybe. And that's what bothers me so much about the timing of some of these announcements. I don't think it's a good time to be moving into Division I with all of this uncertainty. There's a chance that the upper level of Division I, looks at ways that they close championships to lower level Division I conferences and schools, or kind of do their own thing. And then I think schools really do have to reevaluate their divisional affiliation and what it is doing, what it is costing, how it's benefiting the university. And I would hope that based on some of the changes that might happen in Division I over the next 6 to 12 months, that there may be a few schools that evaluate what they're doing and say, hey, Division II is a place that we can be competitive, that we can give our students a great experience, and we can do it within a regional footprint that's going to save us money in recruiting, transportation, the costs of offering an intercollegiate athletics program. That seems to me to be a very popular formula that's going to score a lot of points with faculty on campus and score a lot of points with people in the community that are going to understand a fiscally sound decision that's going to allow a program to be more competitive. That's what leaders should be doing, and I'm hopeful that we'll see some of that play out maybe in the next 6 to 12 months.
Never a dull time in college athletics at this point in time, especially the last 8-9 months. I'll get you out of here on this one. Commissioner Mike Racy here with me on MIAA Monday. It's Wednesday. That happens to me a lot, but a lot of talk right now about the handshake line in college basketball at this point, but I'm sure it's across every sport. It's kind of, we saw during the height of the pandemic, it was more of a wave, more stuff like that. It's back. We saw what happened with Juwan Howard in Michigan and Wisconsin the other day. And we've seen coaches kind of talk about what the importance or maybe their thoughts on the handshake line. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, we've seen a number of pundits come out and say too that, the handshake line's the problem. Without the handshake line, we don't see that post-game scuffles at Michigan, Wisconsin game or other things. And I disagree. I think that the handshake line is an important part of intercollegiate athletics. It allows individuals that have been part of a very competitive game or contest where they've given it their all to show respect for their opponent, to leave a court with dignity, to for coaches to be leaders and to provide a life lesson to student athletes about how to handle adversity, how to handle it with class. And breaking news, we're going to have handshake lines at the MIAA tournament next week. We're not getting rid of those. It's going to be awesome to watch that after 18 hard-fought games during our tournament next week, to see coaches and student athletes come together and congratulate each other, wish each other luck, say hi to friends. And if they don't want to do any of that, at least reach out your hand and show some class and proceed down the line and head to the locker room. That's what's expected. And I really don't understand all this talk, Chris, by some very smart people that we need to get rid of the handshake line because our coaches can't behave after a game, or our student athletes can't act right after a game. I say baloney. I know they can't. That's who these people are. They are leaders. They are great citizens. They are great representatives of their institutions, and they are able to showcase that even after a heated battle on the court, and finish the game with class by acknowledging their opponents and shaking hands.
Probably hear my dog bark at this point, but that's fine. MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, we are just a week away from the MIAA tournament down in Kansas City. Looking forward to it. Thank you for your time as always, and postseason basketball, it's here finally.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing everybody in Kansas City next week, Chris. It's going to be a great week of basketball, but I think it's also going to be a great celebration for the conference coming back together after a long 2 years and crowning a men's champion, crowning a women's champion, and getting our teams ready to go make a run in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely, and like you can hear my dogs, apparently it's time for me to wrap this up. So absolutely.
Well, your dogs, I think, are excited about the tournament next week.
Exactly, they're excited for basketball. I'm excited. You are. Thanks as always for the time.
You bet. Good to see you, Chris.
Good to see you.